everyone. Welcome to a brand new edition of the MSG 150 at Home presented by Chase. Bill Pito along with John Wallace and Alan Hahn and Monica McNutt. And there is some concern among the group, Monica, because John thinks that Alan should keep the beard.
The beard too. I'm team beard, Hahn. I like it.
Thank you. Yeah, Monica was the first to comment and say that she liked it. So because Monica likes it, I get the endorsement from her. Now I get it from J-Dub. It's in, it's staying. And Bill, you can hate the patches all you want, but that's just who I am. You got to love me for what I am.
We love you for what you are. My problem is I have these bald patches in my beard growing attempt. I couldn't even join you and John, so maybe it's just jealousy from me. I don't know. As always, guys, we want to take care of those who are taking care of us. Madison Square Garden partnering with Chase to deliver takeout orders from local restaurants for frontline workers throughout the tri-state area. Thank you to our home team heroes. And guys, in the sports world, we have developing situations everywhere you look. In the NBA, we have Kyrie Irving leading a coalition of players who don't want to play in Orlando. Patrick Beverley on the other side says LeBron James wants to play in Orlando, and if LeBron wants to play, they're playing. The question, John, during this time where we're having a lot of discussion of what's going on in our society, is it better for the players to go to Orlando as a platform to express what they want to express, or is it better, do you think, for them not to play at all?
Well, I'm a little confused. Didn't Kyrie Irving ask to go to the bubble like a week and a half ago or something? And apparently the NBA told him he couldn't go, so now this is happening. I'm not sure if that's the reason why he's, you know, I'm not trying to pass on like he's not really.
Now he's injured. He can't play. He can't play at all, obviously.
So that's my point. Like he can't play. He's not involved. He doesn't have a chance to win a championship. So is that part of his reasoning for, you know, going on the other side of it? I don't know. But all I know is the NBA, what Adam Silver said last night in terms of bringing in some speakers, I hope they're talking about bringing in the progenitors of this whole racial movement from the 60s. Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, guys of that ilk to come in and talk to the guys of today.
Call a timeout. John just dropped a progenitor.
Yeah, so that's the father of the whole movement.
Word. Yeah.
Okay, just to clarify, I mean, your vocabulary is 10 notches above those of the rest of us, so go ahead.
No, but Bill, that's real though. Like, you know, Bill Russell, who's the first black coach in the pro sports back in the 60s when it was very unpopular. And he managed that, and he, you know, look at Bill Russell today. He's the most revered basketball player in the world, and it's all because of the stance he took back in the 60s when it was unpopular. Then Kareem came in the league and followed suit. So I think those guys need to sit down at the round table with the current players today and pick their brains. I thought that was really poignant point that Adam Silver made last night, that they're going to bring in some speakers to speak to the guys about what's going on in today's world, because as we know, Kyrie Irving has a predilection for saying crazy things, i.e. the earth's flat. And he also said recently that only 20 guys are getting paid in the NBA. Maybe he hasn't realized that the minimum salary in the NBA is about $1 million. So everyone's getting paid in the NBA, especially in today's world. 40 million people are unemployed. To say something like that is just a bad atrocity of knowing what's going on in today's world. Kyrie Irving, you're not playing. You don't have a chance to win a championship. Let the guys who are involved talk. If they feel that way, so be it. But I don't think any first-year, second-year players is going to say, like, you know, they don't want to play. They need their money. They need this platform. I think you can make more of a change and get the needle to move more if you're playing and active and you have that platform. Millions of fans. After the game, you could talk to the reporters. In between games, you could talk to reporters. I think that's the way to go for me personally. Everyone else might feel a little different, but that's the way I feel about it.
I think that Kyrie's reputation preceded him on these statements. You mentioned, John, that he's someone who has made controversial statements. We take them with a grain of salt. He has a reputation as a bit of a contrarian. Now, we can't necessarily judge his motives, but the thought, I think, is one that we should take a minute and consider. I mean, when you look throughout history, you mentioned great guys in history, and I love the picture from the Cleveland Summit that had Muhammad Ali, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Brown. The thing with protesting and taking a stance is that you are disrupting. You're making folks uncomfortable. Now, Kyrie's motives, again, we can't get into that, but the thought that we would not allow our society to turn back to sports as entertainment and distraction from the moment and the movement is one that I think is genuine and is legitimate. Now, on the practical level, the numbers and the money, we can't, everybody isn't making Kyrie money, and I totally get that. The other side of that is what I do agree with is that their platform is far bigger when eyeballs are there. But we always get that comment, stick to sports or shut up and dribble, whichever one you want to take whichever one you want to use. So if you don't give an opportunity for media or other folks in society to hide behind the games, I think there's some real something to think about there.
Let me ask this question. Do we need to hear from LeBron James?
We know what LeBron wants to do.
Well, we know, okay, we assume we know, we've seen the tweets and everything else, but a lot of other people are speaking up. And LeBron has never been one to shy away from it. You would argue that, I know he's not the union president, Chris Paul is, and that's his good friend, but LeBron James is the voice of the NBA right now. I mean, that's pretty clear. And it's probably time that he does say something. And he might be taking his time, which is good. You don't want to ever rush and come out and say something. We know his emotion is about playing, and some people might want to say, well, he's just motivated because he wants to win another championship. It's about his legacy. It's personal and all that stuff. I think Patrick Beverley's tweet, had a little subtext to it, I think. But I do think that we need to hear from LeBron James on this because he does want to play, and for good reason. But I also can say that while we want to, and I know, John, you're not wrong about Kyrie, obviously. He does speak off the cuff a lot, that there is something about him that, has gone from one locker room to another, that has followed him around. But this is also not a time for us to completely shut out anyone that has something to say that doesn't agree with our thinking. You listen anyway and take it into consideration. So no matter what the source is, you still want to listen to what the message is. Because I know myself, you can only go by your own perspective, right? If I was involved in something as emotional as this in my community, and then I knew I had to leave and go to something very comfortable and luxurious that's going to give me a lot of adulation and attention, and leaving all of my friends behind to continue to do that work that is the opposite of it. It's tough, it's exhausting, it's frustrating, all those things, then I'd feel kind of guilty about that. So what you want to do if you're Adam Silver and a lot of the NBA owners is let the players know that while you're using this stage, while you're keeping our game going, we're going to provide for you all of the ability that you need to continue that message on the grander scale. The entire world will be watching because it's important to have a diversity of voices and faces when it comes to keeping the message going. So I think all of that's very important when the league does restart. And this is the one league I think we can say, has been very progressive in this, and I'd feel confident. It's all about trust. And I think the players do trust this league to do the right things when it comes to making sure the message isn't lost because, oh my God, we've got Clippers-Lakers in the conference final. Keep the message going, and I think the league will do that. And I also think it's important that LeBron is the voice that leads it.
But we can all agree. The reality is when we get back to games, no matter what marketing press the NBA puts on, the message is going to take a back seat. That's just a fact.
Oh, Monica, what about the financial piece?
I don't agree with that, Monica.
We're going to have a lot of things going on in the world. The election's going to come. We're going to have weather because it's going to be hurricane season. Things are going to eventually become the next headline. Whether there's spikes in COVID-19, that's going to become a headline. It's not about keeping it the prominent only headline because you don't want that fatigue also from the rest of the country. The most important thing is to don't let it become a back burner anymore. No, to keep the conversation going. That's the important part, is to make sure that the conversation continues. I always use this phrase, advance the cause. Keep talking about it, but don't just keep talking about it on this level. Move it forward so people stay engaged.
I love
Monica,
that.
let me ask you real quick.
Go, Peter.
Austin Rivers and Dame Lillard have made the point that by playing and making money, the financial piece can then be reinvested into communities that need the help. Right. What do you think about that as another reason to potentially return to play in Orlando?
I personally would vote to return to play in Orlando for a plethora of reasons. All I'm saying is that we have to give adequate weight to the idea of not returning, and if it is standing in unity with this movement. You're right, Alan. Headlines are going to come, elections coming, weather, so on and so forth. But sadly, that puts us back in the same cycle that we've been in for so many years. And the reason that this time around, folks seem to be hearing the voices of Black folks in America is because of the perfect storm and the culmination of all of these events. That's all I'm saying. We are in a very, very unique moment that if pandemics are every 100 years, we will not get back. So all I'm saying is it needs to be capitalized. And everybody's gonna have differing opinions. We are humans, I get it, on how best to capitalize. But when you look at moments that were historical in history, the bus boycotts in Montgomery were 381 days. That's 381 days of a straight up sacrifice by an entire community. So this thing is not going to move forward. The message won't continue to grow. I'm sorry people get fatigued. That is the existence of Black folks in this country under fatigue for years. So I just think we have to give the proper weight to this consideration. Probably doesn't happen, but I think it was a very legitimate idea.
Yeah, you're right, Monica. But at the same time, I think we got to really focus on, you know, like what's at hand right now. Like, are they gonna play? We're not sure. But the movement is gonna go on regardless. And I think you could bring more attention to the movement while playing. That's my personal opinion. I think if Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Muhammad Ali and those guys back in the day would have just stopped playing their sport, I think the message would have kind of got lost. But they kept playing their sport, and they had that platform to keep putting it out there to let people know, to the masses, what's going on, and trying to bring some light to the racial inequalities that were going on back then that still exist today.
All right, guys, great discussion. Very differing perspectives, and great to kick it around. And coming up next, we're going to get the perspective from Anson Carter, and also the reaction to the video that he's put together with a lot of the famous names in the NHL. We'll talk to Anson next on the MSG 150 at Home, presented by Chase.